Welcome, everybody, to the Austin James Haynes Show. We are streaming live here on February 19th. It's Wednesday. I'm sitting next to a good friend, Matt Hanley, and we're going to get into Matt's story. But imagine running for 55 years. No, not 55 years straight running, but 55 years of running. Matt has been a good friend of mine. We've developed a friendship over the years through running together. And we talked about doing this interview because he's got such an incredible story. It's one of those stories that you may never hear about, right? He just lives his life, family, husband, father, devoted, but he's also had this incredible dedication to running. And I said, Matt, we need to sit down and really dig into your story. So how are you feeling about doing this today, Matt?
Very good, Austin, and thanks for being here, everybody. And I'm enjoying this.
Good. And we're glad to hear. And by the way, we're streaming live from the Soundplex. You might be getting this on the recording, but we are live at the Soundplex in Pensacola, New Jersey. Incredible place. You could probably see the backdrop if you're on the podcast. You may want to come over to the video. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel, wherever you're finding this, because we're going to be continuing to bring you incredible stories, inspirational places, faces, traces, nature, poetry, stories like Matt's. So Matt, what I wanted to start with, I got so many things flying around in my mind, so I know we're not going to
Okay.
get to it all,
Sure.
but I certainly want to get to some of the highlights. But I want to go back to when this whole thing started. Are you willing to go back to when this whole journey of running started for you?
Sure. I started actually as a freshman in high school, and eighth grade. We're in the middle school, of course, and all the coaches came over in the spring portion of the year, like May type of thing. And the coaches came over and they pitched their sports to us in middle
Mhm.
school. And the cross country coach talked about, and he said something very interesting to me. He said, "You'll probably be in the best shape of your lives." When he said that, I said, "Okay, and you could come out and run with us." I said, "Okay, I'm not built like a football player. I'm not athletic, gifted in any sense of the word, but running sounds interesting." And so that fall, I went out for the cross country team, and I've been running ever since.
It sounds like you heard him say be in the best shape of your life, and at that time you didn't identify with any other sport, right? So
No, I mean, we just played, baseball and football and stuff as kids, like we all do.
Mhm.
Boys do anyway. And so yeah, this was my first real act. And I did some little league, but this is really my first foray into high school sports. So I wanted to get involved with that.
And I would imagine when you started, you didn't have the foresight to realize you'd be sitting here in this chair talking about having a 55-year running career at that time.
Well, it turns out and that's the thing. I didn't realize that, of
Right.
course, but it turns out I just liked running, and it sounds simple, and it sounds trite,
Right.
and it sounds like, well, he didn't give it much thought, but there isn't really much thought to do
Right.
to give it, and when people, and even today, people say I should go running, I should do this. I said, my first question to you isn't how fast do you run, or did you run in high school, or any of that stuff. Is, do you like running?
That's a good point.
No, it's step one.
That's right.
It absolutely is step one. If you like running, then pursue it. If you don't like it, you're not going to do it. I happen to like it.
That's a good question, because when people are hearing this, people go running. Oh my gosh, it's like the last thing I want to do. Running's perceived as this thing that you don't want to do, but yet you did it and you found the pure joy in it, and it's never stopped. I mean, you want to talk about that? Like, how?
Well, and a lot of people I've run into today, recently, the past 20 years, and I was never fast. Let me put that right up
Okay.
front. I'm not. I was just never that runner that was able to go out and win races. I mean, persistence enabled me to win some age group races and win in my age group, but I was never that fast. But I've talked to a lot of people today who are out there running, and they're even slower than I am, or they just enjoy doing the running portion of it. It's like they kind of like the camaraderie of running, hanging out with other runners, and that's where I'm at really nowadays, and And I've been doing that for like the past 25 years or so, running with everybody, running in groups, and that having that level of camaraderie. That's how I met Austin.
That's how we met, right? Through the running.
You were running, I was running. We all went to a running event,
Yep.
just the group run here in Haddonfield, and we did. And oh, okay, hanging out with us. Okay, that's fine.
As a matter of fact, you're here today because we were on a run conversing, and I think
Yes.
I might have asked you, Matt, how long have you been running? Because I say I'm new to running. I started running in like 2008 or nine. I mean, which sounds like a lot, but
He's a rookie, folks.
exactly. I'm still a rookie, and but I love the fact that you've and Matt. I want to it's interesting. A lot of times people think about doing like they can seek these grandiose things, and sometimes it's as simple as I just showed up and I enjoyed it and I stayed with it. Right? It doesn't have to be complex, as you said. Running is a simple thing.
It really is. And if you don't like, and there's really no investment in it for the most part. I mean, yeah, you would decent running shoes, but I ran in high school. We didn't have decent running. When I ran in high school, I ran in just sneakers for my training. The running shoes back then weren't any good. You wore shorts that you had, so there was really no investment in it. And then later on, running shoes can get expensive and stuff if you like it. But if you run, you bring some cheap shoes, you go out, you seek out group runs, you do that. If you like it, you hang with it. If you don't, okay, move on, find something else that you like doing.
Yes. I want to talk about what kept you going, and maybe we could hit some obstacles that you have hit along the way. I know a few of them, but I'll leave that up to you, what you want to share here. But what what kept you going? Like why, I'm sure you had to reflect through and you started tracking it. I know you track your runs. So what propelled you to keep doing this for 55 years? Like, can you recall, is there any one thing or is there a couple things? Like what keeps you going?
It's I think just liking to go out and run. It's I know it doesn't sound complicated,
Right.
and it sounds like, well, there's got to be more, but there really isn't. It's I just like doing it.
You just like doing it.
I just get out there. Oh, okay, I need to go out and run, and there's some physical impacts to it. You get out, run, you build up endorphins, and and if I don't do it and start to feel antsy, people around me say, "Matt, you got to go out and run." It's
Go
the-
get that. It's a good outlet to
and
it's therapy, isn't it?
It's kind of is.
It kind of can be everything. I know you would probably be able to speak to that.
It is. It is. In fact,
Yeah.
it's a form of therapy. I mean, you've all heard people like to bang. We're in a music studio. People like to bang on the drums.
Right behind us here. Yeah.
It relieves stress. People go out biking. People play pool or something like that.
Yeah.
It's a healthy way to relieve stress. I always knew it was healthy. I mean, we all do. And there's and I think there's advantages to that. I'll talk to that in a sec.
Yeah, definitely.
But um,
But let's talk about maybe an adversity you had along the way. Was there multiple times where you're like, I think I'm done with running? Did you ever have a moment like that where you thought I'm done? Or if you didn't, what adversity that you want to speak to that you think would inspire others?
well, I think the love of running just kept me going the entire time. And back in the mid 1980s, I was living in Arizona, and
Great place. Well, Arizona.
a lot of good places
Yeah.
to visit. But I was living out there, and I was running. My legs were. I couldn't run. My legs were starting to bother me. I could bike, but I couldn't run. So I went and saw some doctors there. They couldn't help me, and finally it just wore off. That this it just went away. I mean, eventually it took several months. I'm going back.
No, were you still running while this was happening?
Well, I had to slow down, and
You slowed down, but you did.
I stopped.
Okay.
I ended up stopping running and biking everywhere.
Okay.
I had
What part of Arizona?
the southeast corner of Arizona. People, the city nearby that people heard of is Tombstone,
Tombstone. Okay.
Cochise County, Arizona.
This is interesting. So you run in and you have this injury.
I was working for the Army back then
Okay.
at Fort Huachuca. So we lived near Fort Huachuca, and I'd run around the town. It's an interesting area, but anyway,
So you had this injury and you slowed down, but you didn't stop. But did you
Well, I did stop running for like few
a
months.
few months just to heal? Okay.
Yeah, TL, I bike ride everywhere and stuff
Got
like
it.
that.
Okay.
And then that's an adversity. But I really wanted to get back and run. You know, I couldn't wait to get back to run.
Yeah.
And I wasn't running quite a lot then.
Yep. So hold that thought. So we're with Matt Hanley here. Matt has been running for 55 years. He's made it a lifelong journey and has been dedicated to it. So we're talking about it. We're diving into his story, learning about where he started in high school and the joy of it, and just kind of hitting on some of the adversities right now. So was there any other adversities that you'd like to share here that you had to overcome?
Um, Recently I've had some medical issues, and and I've had other runners here have these medical issues in 2015. What's today? 2025. So about 10, or I was it 2015? I have to go back and look. I think it was more recent than that, but um I had a 20 I had a stroke actually. And yeah,
You did have a stroke.
I kind of I've talked to another runner. I won't
Wow.
name her, but
Wow.
she had a stroke as well.
Now, were you running when you had this?
I think so, yeah. It did, and it did what it did was it whacked my short-term memory. I got that checked out.
Okay, so you had to wow.
I
Now,
and I had to stop running for a bit, and the doctor said you couldn't run. He said he didn't say anything about bike riding, so I
he
was out.
said you couldn't run.
Yeah, you could. I couldn't run for a few months.
Oh, for a few months. Okay.
Just a few months, and then
Okay.
he said he didn't say anything about bike. My wife yelled at me.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, that
you shouldn't be bike riding either. I said, well, he didn't say not to do that.
okay, so you
I was
maybe it was a lifeline, for you at that
well.
time.
I'm just saying I had to get out there and be outside and do
Yeah, you
that
like to
stuff
be outside too, I know.
and do
So
that
so
stuff.
Matt, this is incredible. You had a stroke and
You
then
knew that,
well, about the stroke?
yeah.
No, I
You,
didn't.
oh, okay. I thought
I know about the other thing, and I don't know
okay,
if you'll speak to that because I
yeah,
think that one to me, I like you're an inspiration, man. Like you
yeah.
you you are not just the running, but that's why I bring up the obstacles because it's when you go through stuff like that, it's hard to keep going. Some people just say, I'm done, but you kept
Well,
going.
it. I appreciate that,
Yeah.
and then a couple of years ago, about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, I had major quadruple bypass surgery on my heart, and I've talked to other runners. This isn't unique to runner. I mean, it's you think, oh, I'm going to run. I'm not going to have these problems. Well, it's genetic with me. All this stuff I'm describing. I've got a family history of that, and fortunately or not for unfortunately in my family, I'm the oldest of 7 kids, so I guess I have to be the inspiration there, but at least, hey, if Matt can go through it, maybe I can too. But we have that running in our
So
family,
so
and I
Matt,
have quadruple bypasser, so
yeah,
I got that fixed up, and then I'm on more aggressive medications for that. It's cholesterol based. Get your cholesterol checked, everybody. Just you
yeah.
never know. It's just I went through all the I ate right, drank moderately, never smoked, did exercise regularly. Didn't help.
But
I
but I
still
want
had
to I
like
want to speak to the fact that, and you could speak to this
okay,
because you were back running in what, 3 months, 4 months?
something like that.
I mean, I know the whole ordeal was about a year, but after everything was completed, I want to say it was like 3 to 5 months because I remember you coming back, and now you're still running. And this was when did this happen? This was like
This
2 years
was
ago,
this
2
was
years ago,
yeah, it was around late April of 2023.
late April. So yeah, going up on
Early May, like
yeah.
I had my bio, and yeah, and I thought, okay, I'm on statins now, and I shouldn't have this problem, and I'm running a lot slower from that.
But you're still running. And what
Yes.
distances are you doing, Matt?
Well, I run. Usually, I've been running up to like 5 miles, 6 miles at a time. I've run a couple
Fantastic.
half marathons.
After post bypass surgery.
Yes,
Wow.
I've run at least one of those. Yes, and
Wow.
I've done that.
Man,
And
that takes an incredible amount of tenacity. I don't know if you're aware of that. Like, I'm sure
you know what?
you probably aren't aware of it. That's why I'm pointing it out.
And let the viewers know it doesn't really seem like a lot of it seems like a little bit of a tenacity to me.
No, it's a lot. I mean, I think that, I mean, for you, having,
Because my hobby.
right, but it's the
That's
momentum you had. Like you invested a lot in the running, and I think my reflection is that that helped you overcome this bypass. It 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 didn't prevent it, but I mean, we can't know for sure, but I got to believe that this all this training you've done over the years has really put you in a position where you were able to handle it better and recover.
possibly. I mean, in 2010, I had a high school reunion, and I went to that, and then I just got back from one in this past summer. But in 2010, I talked to quite a few folks I ran with in cross country, about 4 or 5 of them, and they were all much better runners than me. And I want to point this out. I was
Yeah.
never, and I never was that good. It's something you're born with, I think, as a distance runner. People have come out first
Mhm.
time and kicked my ass when I was in school and running those kind of things.
Right.
But I stayed with it. And in my even post stroke, but not post bypass, because I got slowed down from that. But post stroke, I was able to get back to close to being competitive in my age group in my 60s. I'm 68 now, but I was in my earlier 60s. I was able to score and do in the top 3 in my age group in quite a few
That's
local
amazing.
races.
That's amazing.
And mostly they were 5 kilometer races and a couple 10Ks out there.
So, so I want to get a couple things before we close here.
Okay.
What would you say do you have like a highlight or two or three like highlights that you think about when running? And Matt, it could be something like I just remember running in Arizona and looking at the sunset, or it could be a race. Like, is there anything that particular that jumps out at you when you reflect back on this incredible journey, really? And just wondering what
Not
stands out.
Nothing really. I mean, it's just the consistency of it.
The
I I
consistency.
I
Okay.
do want to point out, I think, if it's a highlight or not, you decide.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that I started running so young, and and there
Yeah.
could be genetics working in my favor in this particular case, but I rarely get injured, and I think the running, it's a great, physically. I've heard people start running and their knees give out on them. Their legs or knees typically. And I think starting and running at a young age, I think I just built up a lot of bone
Now, do you
density.
have any joint pain or anything?
No, not really.
Good, God bless you, man.
And
No, like no arthritis,
I
none of
mean,
that stuff.
I don't have arthritis or any of that stuff.
Good for
I
you.
mean,
That's fantastic.
I started up again taking. I did have some ankle problems, and then I did some chiropractor gave me some ankle exercises. I actually started taking glucosamine sulfate.
Okay.
That's
I've heard of glucosamine chondroitin. This is different, right?
This is
Sulfate.
glucosamine
Okay.
sulfate. I had about 20 years ago, I had an orthopedic doctor recommend it. Just go to the vitamin store and buy it. Just get 1,000 milligrams
Hmm.
and take one a day. And it cleared up my, I didn't have to do the ankle exercises anymore. That's a supplement that actually works.
I'll have to remember that one because, yeah, I mean, we do get the
We can
interest.
show up a commercial later if
Yeah,
you
we can. And you know what? I want to give a plug for castor oil. My friend John, who lived to be 97, he told me about castor oil, and that stuff is awesome too. It's like one of those old things you think, oh, that's old. That doesn't work. That stuff works.
Some of that stuff.
It does work.
This stuff worked for me,
Yeah, that's
and
good.
but before other than that, it was the idea of getting out there, and I think it was that, like I said in the beginning, do you like to run, like when first time runner, and if you like to run, you'll figure out a way to do it.
So I want to, as in closing here, I want to get a couple things from you. So, what number one, I want to get some. Do you have any wisdom to share from this running, or that dovetail into like what would you say to somebody that maybe hasn't found this thing that they enjoy so much? Because there, believe it or not, there are people out there that maybe don't have the thing that they really enjoy. So I'd love to hear that.
And that's just it. Is look for all, it's was that biblical quote, know all things, hold fast to that which is good. And if hold
Sorry.
fast to
No,
that
no,
which you
say that
enjoy.
one more time. Know all things.
Know all things, hold fast to that which is good.
Hold fast to that which is good.
And that's
Good. That's good.
and that's there's good wisdom in there.
Yes.
We could go on other subjects.
Isn't it as simple as that, though? Isn't it as simple as, I mean, of course, you spent your life as mostly as an engineer,
Yeah, I'm an engineer.
right? So you were an
I'm a recently retired
recently
engineer.
retired. Congratulations. But you found this outlet that you love that has, it's funny, you poured into that, and then it has poured back into your life. And now through the friendships, the camaraderie, that's how we met. And it's just a beautiful journey, man. I just, I really want to tell you, you are an inspiration,
Oh,
encourage you to keep going, because, who knows who's going to see this, but I know people hear these stories, and because we can get caught in a year, a month, even a day where we feel lost. But when you look at this, it's possible. If consistency, I think, is one of your strengths, and you've definitely shown that. Any final words?
I think you've covered it.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
have anything else to add.
you've covered it. I thank you for being here today. So everybody, this is the Austin James Haynes Show. I'm sitting here with Matt Hanley, who's become a good friend. He's been running for 55 years as of September, right? September? Yeah.
Yes.
55
What the
years.
exact date?
Sure. Yeah, we said we're not going to do it, but yeah, what was the exact date?
Okay, it's actually September 18th, 1970 was my first race.
Incredible.
And
That's amazing.
I didn't realize this until years later. It was actually the day Jimi Hendrix died.
Oh, wow.
So,
And it was before I was born. Matt has been running longer than I've been alive, and I've been running since 2008. But wow, that's amazing.
But seriously, if
Yeah.
you find something you like doing, and running's a great hobby. It's not even it's not an exercise. It's not a chore. It's a hobby of mine. It's my hobby.
You love it.
And yeah, that's what I do.
Keep on running. I think that should be your slogan. Keep on
Okay.
running. So thanks everybody for being here. This is Matt Hanley. If you're getting this live, it will be recorded. It's on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So hey, feel free to share it with somebody. Watch it again if you're joining it late. It's a great story. Matt, you shared a lot of great stuff with us. Thank you for being here. And we'll be back soon with another interview this afternoon. I have another special guest coming at you. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome.